So good morning, my friends. We have a lot to discuss today. We're starting a new parasha, Vayeshev, and this is the extraordinary story of Yosef HaTzadik, Joseph, the righteous person. Very interesting character. We almost skip over him as a person, but he's an incredible individual we can learn so much from. First of all, it's a very unusual name for the parasha, Vayeshev. Vayeshev means calm, relaxed, tranquil. From Lashon Shev, he's sitting down, everything's good. He's had to deal with Lavan, he's had to deal with Esav, he's had to deal with Shechem, and he's got rid of them all. And now he gets to sit with his entire family. Everyone's good. V'shalva, benachat, in absolute tranquility, Vayeshev. And then as soon as you say the word Vayeshev, everything is fantastic and relaxed. Boom! He's hit with the biggest challenge of his entire life. And that is going to be the sale of his son, Yosef, or as far as he thinks, the murder and the death of his son, Yosef. We know Yosef is going to go down eventually to Mitzrayim, to Egypt, and his mission down there is going to be extremely important for the future of Am Yisrael and Klal Yisrael. So we see this dichotomy, and we learn something very important from this, my dear friends. And that is, sometimes you're in life, and you've had a challenge, and you manage to overcome the challenge, and then within a minute or so, another challenge comes your way. It doesn't make sense. And the answer is, it's all one challenge. It's all the same thing. Hashem sometimes lulls us into a security. He puts us into a place where we think everything is now good and calm and fantastic, and then the real challenge comes. That was just a beginning, an appetizer, till we get to the main challenge. The rabbis say we have to learn never to put down our defenses. We always have to be ready. And Yosef is a young boy. He's Ben Hazkunim, which means he's the son of an older person. Yaakov had him much later on, after the other Banim, after the other sons. And now Yosef is 17 years old. Why does the Torah tell us his age, 17? Why is that important? Why do we need to know he was a 17-year-old kid? To what?
At the gematria of good. Number one. Number two.
Very nice. Gematria of Tov, I like that.
When Yaakov comes down, he says, most of them weren't good, but he lived there for 17 years.
He was there, that's much later. Right now, he's a young boy. He's 17 years old. And what's he like? Is he a big tzaddik? What's Yosef doing at 17? So the rabbis tell us he's doing his hair, he's doing his eyelashes, he's into his physical appearance, he's walking around like everything's fantastic, taking care of himself. And his brothers start to become extremely suspicious of him. They don't understand. This little boy, this little upstart, is going to, in a moment, have chalamot, dreams about his future as a leader of all the brothers that we're going to talk about in a couple of moments. And here he is, this young boy, this young kid. And by the way, why would his brothers even think that? Why would his brothers think that he is a threat to them? Well, there's the history in the family, in the mishpacha. We know that Avraham had a Yishmael, who ended up causing trouble. We know that Yitzchak had a Esav. And now the brothers are like, well, who's going to be the problem in our generation? Who's going to be the problem child? They look to all the brothers and they see the 17-year-old kid doing his hair, doing his makeup, his eyelashes, walking around all full of himself. They're like, oh, keep an eye on this kid. And then he starts to have the dreams as well. So they think, this is trouble. Let me share something very interesting with you. And I think you're going to be able to relate to this in a very, very deep way. You know, Yosef was very into his looks, we said. And Rashi tells us, he was Mesalsa to Rosh, he would do his hair, he would do his eyelashes, he'd put on maybe some form of makeup. He was very into his appearance. And by the way, the rabbis tell us, he was the most handsome man in Jewish history. Extremely good looking. We're going to see later on that women would jump onto walls, and this is a Rashi, just to catch a little glimpse of this extremely good-looking, handsome boy.
Like the Beatles.
everything about him. People are obsessed with him. Why is that important? Why does the Torah is interested in this? The Torah wants us to know that he's so good looking, he's so handsome, he's got beautiful hair, he's got beautiful eyelashes, he dresses well, he's going to put on a nice, beautiful, fancy coat. Why is that important? And it's extremely important. And it goes like this. His entire mission on behalf of Am Yisrael and Klal Yisrael is going to be founded upon his good looks. He's going to use his good looks in order to fulfill his mission. That's going to be his thing. You have to understand, my friends. Hashem gives us various talents. Sometimes you're good at math. Sometimes you're good physically. Sometimes you're a very handsome man or woman. And you're thinking, that's a distraction, you think to yourself, from my main tafkid, my main mission in this world. And here we're learning something very important. These abilities, these talents, these looks, even our sense of style and dress may seem like a problem, but actually, my dear friends, what's really happening is all of these kohot, all of these talents that Hashem gives us, even good looks, are actually there to help us fulfill a mission. If a person has a great artistic ability, Hashem gave us all the ability. I don't know, a person gets ability to sing well. I didn't get such a blessing. Or ability to dance well. Don't think, okay, Hashem, God gave me that talent, but I have a different mission. That becomes part of your mission. Yosef's mission was built up on his good looks. In other words, a person can become a Navi, a great individual, a prophet of God. But you have to realize that actually the talents, all the talents, even your looks that Hashem gives you, are there to help you fulfill your mission. There's something in that talent that you may think is actually a michshal, is going to become a problem for you, but actually it's not. It's like I always say, all the things that got you into trouble as a kid end up becoming your main talent and how you make a living and your source of success, Like the talkative kid in class, right? And everyone thinking, oh, he can't stop talking, he's so fidgety. Those kids end up working in, cash advance, right? Start working in these businesses and start to make a fantastic living doing it. So all the things that got you into trouble as a kid become the way you become successful in life. Same thing with Yosef. His good looks and his vanity at the age of 17 years old was actually a problem for him when he was 17 and going to cause his brothers to become jealous of him. But actually, his entire power and his entire future success is going to be his good looks. People are going to be attracted to him. He's going to become viceroy of Egypt, and he's going to use that tremendous talent to actually save the Jewish people, to build up Mitzrayim, and to get us ready for our Geulah, for our redemption. But it's not just Yosef. Who's the most good-looking one or the most beautiful women in Jewish history besides my wife? Esther Hamalka was extremely good-looking. And that's why now, when she was growing up, she probably thought, oh no, it's a distraction. People are looking at me. I feel threatened. I'm going to be chosen, right, by the king of Paras, of Persia. It's going to be a big problem for me. But actually, the good looks that she had ended up becoming her source of achievement, her success. She needed those good looks. And not only that, we know that all the nations of the world needed to accept her as the leader. And therefore, she used her good looks, or she was given those good looks, because those good looks were going to help attract all the other nations who are going to be like, wow, she's so beautiful. She must be from Midian. She's so beautiful. She must be from my area of Paras. She must be from my area of Moab. Wherever it was, everyone related to her, and everyone said, oh, she's so wonderful, and therefore she must be from my nation. She ends up using this as the way to redeem the Jewish people, to get mass support for her mission as queen of 127 provinces. Once again, your talents, your kohot, end up helping you. By the way, it's the same thing with people's physical power. Some people are made small and frail and fragile, and some people Hashem makes big giborim, strong individuals. You're like, well, what's that got to do with it? Why does God give them this talent? Right? Why would God make some Jews 5'2", some Jews 5'5", and some 6'4", right? And become strong. Is it so they can become basketball players? Maybe it is. I don't know. Not too many, great Jewish basketball players, right? Many Jewish basketball owners, but not that many Jewish basketball players, right? So we see that even your physical prowess, even your power, even being a gibur strong, is that people look at you and be like, oh, and Rav Kook used to say this. He would say that Jewish people have a chiyuv in our generation. He wrote this in the 1900s and said to feel proud of themselves, to look good, to dress well, to be strong, to show that our nation is strong as well. People should look at us and be like, we are giburim. We are strong with Hashem. And the way we dress, we see Yosef is dressing in a nice coat, and Yaakov gives him a beautiful coat of many colors, or it was actually a striped coat, this is me'il. And we're like, what's he doing that for? Because if you're representing Hashem and Torah, you should look good. Actually, did you know that even a Talmid Chacham who has a stain on their clothing is making a chilul Hashem? Unfortunately, I'm telling you, when I grew up, the Rabbanim I used to grow up with, they came out of Europe, they were disheveled, they didn't dress well, and we young boys used to look, and young girls used to look at them and be like, do I want to be like that? I want to walk around with a bad-looking suit and clothing, and they used to have that. This didn't take care of their physical appearance. This is a chilul Hashem. It's a mitzvah as a religious Jew to look good, to dress well. I remember when I got my smicha, I was offered my first job to work in Kiruv. I was working for Birthright Israel, leading trips, giving classes and programs. And I went to Rosh Yeshiva, and I said to him, please, before I take on this job, before I go out there, I was leaving Kolel, Yeshiva after many, many years. I got my smicha. I was mad. And I said, give me some advice. Give me some advice when I go out there and I start working with these young Jewish men and women who've maybe never had a conversation with a religious individual ever in their lives. What one piece of advice? And he said, I'll never forget this. I remember it. He said, make sure you always trim your beard. He said to me, I'm like, that's it. About to work in Jewish outreach, right? Going to bring Torah to the masses, lead trips. I led 30, 40, 50 trips. Poland, Israel. He goes, make sure you keep your beard trimmed all the time. I was like, why? He says, because people are going to look at you and you are representing Judaism and Torah and God. And you're going to look like a shmegegi. You're walking around with a disheveled appearance, right? With an untrimmed, unkempt beard and an old dirty suit. And by the way, this is why there's a halakha. It's going to amaze you. There's a halakha that a kohen that works in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, they cannot have a ketem, they cannot have a stain. If they have a stain on their clothing or their big day kahuna doesn't fit them well, they're chayav mitah. They're liable for the death penalty. Really? Like really? There they are, Yerushalayim, bringing the avodah, being people who are doing a mitzvah, bringing people close to Hashem through the avodah. And we're like, yeah, but they cannot look terrible. You have to take care of your appearance. So when Yaakov gave Yosef this coat, and when Yosef is looking care of himself, he's being told that his appearance isn't a distraction from his mission in Olam Hazeh. It's actually the reason for it. It's going to bring him success. Even Shimshon, Hagibor, Samson was extremely powerful and strong. And we're looking at him going, what's that got to do with it? How can that? Actually, his nevuah was his strength. You have to understand this. His power and the koch that he had, say the rabbis, the some rabbis that say this, was actually part of his nevuah. His nevuah, his ability to prophesy on behalf of the Jewish people, was only there because of his strength. So when we look at Yosef, it's very easy for us to dismiss him. He's 17 years old. He's only taking care of his hair. We're like, yeah, at the age of 17, it was vanity. It was vain. But that power to, I know it sounds crazy, look good, that Hashem made him the most handsome man in Jewish history, that power was actually going to work on his behalf. He had to channel it. Now, and that's going to be the key task of Yosef, He's going to have to channel that power of looking good, of taking care of himself, and he's going to have to channel that in order of, I mean, he could have dismissed it, and he could have used it for Ra, right? Just to, become a popular person and, go to clubs and hang out, right? And pick up. He could have used it that way. He had that ability, but he chose it for the good. And by the way, it was very close, because very soon he's going to come, Yosef, with this incredibly hard challenge, right? That Eshet Potiphar is going to be attracted to him, right? It's not a coincidence. He was extremely good looking. She wasn't attracted to some. So that challenge that Yosef had when Eshet Potiphar, I mean, it was more than that. She saw that through him, she was going to end up being her daughter, stepdaughter ends up being attracted to him, adopted daughter, ends up being attracted to him and marrying him. So she saw there was some spiritual goodness that will come out. But he had to fight off that challenge, which was extremely difficult. But the challenge came because of his good looks, because Hashem gave him that ability. And therefore, the powers that Hashem gives us, no matter what it is, as I mentioned before, it could be you're good at dancing, it could be you're good at singing, it could be you're good at art. You must use every single talent that Hashem gave to you in order to bring those people closer to Hashem. That's why Hashem gave you that talent. And therefore, I remember I was sitting at a Shabbat table many years ago when I was a bachor, a single guy, and the rabbi whose table I was sitting at, one of his sons was a beautiful chazan. So his father said, please sing a zemer for us. Do a zemer, sing a nice song with Shabbat table. And he said, Abba, I don't know, I'm shy, I don't want to. And I remember he looked, I'll never forget this. He pointed at him and said, do you think Hashem gave you that talent for you not to sing? How dare you? Hashem gave you that koach in order to share it with the rest of the world. Not for you to sit there, oh, I sing so well, I get in front of the community, I'm a great chazan, or a person's a great speaker. Oh no, I don't want to speak publicly, I'm embarrassed. Hashem gave you that talent in order to share it. No matter what your talent is. And everyone has got a talent that nobody else has as good as them. Now, everyone is better than us in some way, but there's always one thing we can do which is better than anyone else, which is unique to us, unique to our abilities. And sometimes it can be a very obscure thing. Even Yosef, his obscure thing was good looking and able to make a nice hairdo. That became a koach. He has to use that in his avodat Hashem. So don't put people down when they have a talent. I know a girl who's very, very good at doing other people's hair. Like, who cares about that? What's that going to do with someone? And the answer is, that's her talent. Hashem gave it to her for a reason. And maybe this girl won't be able to afford a hairdresser, right? Won't be able to go. And she's got a simcha, she's got a bar mitzvah, an engagement, a wedding. And she's like, do me a favor, could you come over and do my hair for me? I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, what a beautiful talent to have, right? That she's able to bring simcha to another woman by being able to do her hair. This is a tremendous koach that needs to be publicized and shared. Maybe you're good at organizing things. I know some people, this is not my talent, who are able to organize wardrobes. Actually, it's a parnasah, right? Some people make a living just organizing other people's wardrobes. They pay for it. But let's say a person can't pay for it. Or maybe they can pay for it. But now you do it as a mitzvah as well. You're very musudar. You're able to organize things. Maybe you're very, very good at being able to be a life coach or giving people advice when it comes to their diet or their exercise. Right? What a tremendous talent Hashem gave you. And you're able to help another person. Maybe you've got good dress sense. You're able to help other people dress well as well. All these things we're learning from Yosef are not just a side thing. They are your nevuah. They are your own personal, private prophecy. This is how you need to live. We need to find these kohot in ourselves and other people. And also when it comes to our children, no children are the same. A very difficult challenge when it comes to our own children or other people's children, right, is you need to find and help them learn that their unique talents, which right now lead them to, bounce around maybe, are going to become their source of great success. And you shouldn't make them feel guilty for not being able to sit. When I was a kid, my rabbi used to say to me, this is how I grew up. my rabbi said to me, I had an Ashkenazic, I went to Ashkenazic yeshivot till I was in my late teens. And my rabbi said to me, Hajiof, you have no Sitzfleisch. I don't know what I meant. I don't speak Yiddish. I said to my friends, what's he saying? He's saying, you can't sit still. And kachava, I was not able to sit still. I had no zitz to sit fleisch. I was always moving around, jumping around. At the time, the way my rabbi made me feel was that this is a chisaron. This is a terrible, terrible thing. Happens to be, though, my dear friends, that's now how I make a parnasa. I'm moving around, I'm schlepping here, I'm schlepping over there. I can't sit still. I'm way over my miles of my car already. I can't sit still. I'm bouncing here and there, and then I pass out. But that's part of personality. When I was a young boy, I thought this was a chisaron, is going to hold me back. But actually, this annoying behavior as a child ends up becoming sometimes your superpower. Your superpower was the thing that gave you problems as a kid, but ends up becoming your whole reason for existence as you get older. You need to find out what your superpower is. And once you find your superpower, you've got to share it with the world. Because when you go to Shemayim, when we leave Olam Hazeh at 120 years, we're going to stand in front of Hashem, and Hashem's going to be like, so, what did you do with that superpower? He goes, what superpower? He goes, I made you a fast walker. You're like, that was my superpower. What was I going to do with that? Maybe your job was to get somewhere before everybody else. Maybe you needed to join Hatzalah, right? Because you can't sit in Bet Knesset for too long. Your thing goes off, your phone goes off, and whoop, you're straight out. That became your superpower. The thing that you thought was actually being ma'akev is going to hold you back from your job actually becomes your superpower. You need to find it. And it could be something, quote unquote, relatively small, a relatively small thing in your life. But don't make that mistake, my friends. Like Yosef, his whole good looks became his superpower. You need to find yours, you need to double click on it and make it become your reason to be alive. Your reason to find success in your life. And that's why Yaakov, Avinu, saw in Yosef. He saw him acting like this and he said, now I see Yosef has got something which his brothers don't have. It must be, he thought to himself, it must be that his desire to take care of his physical looks, to do his hair and his eyelashes and his makeup actually was going to help him. And boy, did it help him. Because he went to Mitzrayim. And he was the first one in. And in Mitzrayim, that's all they cared about. In Egypt, in those days, they cared about people looking good. Right? You see all the mummies and the tombs. Everyone's got nice makeup on. They're doing their hair. They're doing their eyelashes. He was a perfect fit, right, for his job in Mitzrayim. So when he became leader of all of Egypt, which was a massive, powerful empire in those days, ends up being that his ability to do his hair and his makeup and his eyes actually benefited him very, very well. That became his superpower to help him lay the land and ready Egypt for his brothers and his father to come down. The Shivim Nefesh, the 70 souls of his mashpacha, they're going to come down into Egypt and help us set the stage for eventual redemption 210 years after that. May Hashem allow us to find our own superpowers and to implement them and advocate them in this world. B'ezrat Hashem. Have a great and successful day.